Greetings everybody! So before I get started with the episode, I think it's important to note that while I do this episode, I'm going to be very closely monitored by my cat up there. Just in case anyone has any doubts about the validity of what I'm going to do, she's going to be keeping a close eye on me. And what I'm going to talk about today is something that's not too difficult to find: cranberries. Now, it was just Thanksgiving the other day, and I picked up a couple bags of these, and I realized that I've never actually eaten a fresh cranberry before. I've used them to make sauce out of, but I've never actually just eaten one of these. So I want to do that because cranberries are kind of interesting. They are related to blueberries in the same genus as blueberries, and also some other things like lingonberries and huckleberries, but they look very different. It is bigger than a blueberry, doesn't look really like one, and it's also hollow on the inside. Now, how cranberries are harvested is they are grown in bogs, and they will just flood the bogs and collect the ones that float to the top. I believe that's how it works. And one of the things that they do to tell that they are good is they will actually bounce them. Like a good cranberry, because it's hollow, will actually bounce, and ones that are bad will not bounce. They'll just fall down with a thud. So this one looks nice and plump. Pretty sure I don't need to bounce it to know that this is gonna have a nice crisp to it. All right, so gonna try. There's the inside, and as you can see, it does have a little hollow chamber in there, and that is why these things float. So that's interesting. I like cranberries. When you eat them fresh like this, they are very sour though. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10's a lemon, this is like an 8. Pretty sour. Much more sour than blueberries. There's not a whole lot of sweetness to it either. On the bag it says 1 cup of these has 4 grams of sugar. It's not a lot. I'd say scale of 1 to 10 with a sugar cube. It's like a 3, 2 or a 3, something like that. The sourness that this has is kind of like the sourness that you would get from a green apple. And the flavor is a little bit like that, but also a little bit berry-ish, like a blueberry, I guess, but if you were to tweak it a bit. So yeah, cranberries are pretty good. Definitely something you'd want to make something out of. And yeah, this video is way too short. So you know what? That's right, I'm gonna make ketchup out of these. Cranberry sauce is the best thing ever, but in the US at least, we only really use it for 1 day, maybe 2 days. On Thanksgiving, it is a condiment. You put it on your mashed potatoes, it makes it better. So what if you made ketchup out of these and you put it on French fries? That would work. Cranberry sauce is really good. You put it on your turkey and other kinds of meat and stuff. It makes it better, right? So what if you were to take that, turn it into a ketchup, and put it on your burger? Yeah, I think this makes sense. Not sure, but we're gonna give this a try. My ingredients here are a little bit different than usual. I'm gonna add a couple of things to this to kind of work with the cranberry sauce motif rather than my regular ketchup stuff. So we've got a 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, 1 garlic clove, and a little bit of a chili. So quite a hot chili, so I just put a slice in there. This is an assortment of spices. In here there's a bayleaf, celery seed, salt, allspice. I put a little bit of cinnamon in here, which I normally would not do, but cranberry sauce is good with cinnamon, so I put cinnamon in there. Some other stuff I think as well. Can't remember what it is. This is half of a small onion. This is 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, and this is an orange, obviously. And of course, you want cranberries. I'm going to use 1 bag of cranberries. To get the rind off this orange, I'm going to use a microplane and just get the very, very outside part of it, because the pith underneath is going to be bitter. And I don't want this to be any more bitter than it already is, because cranberries are bitter. Yeah, or maybe you like bitter things. You want to make it bitter, go for it. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to take a small pan, put that on medium heat, and I'm going to throw a splash of oil in there. So in goes the onion. Okay, starting to get a little bit translucent, so I'm going to throw in the garlic, chili, and orange rind, and also going to throw in the spices so those can wake up a little bit. I've lowered the heat, and I'm going to add my vinegar, sugar, and orange juice. As I squeeze these oranges, let me tell you how to make cranberry sauce real quick. Cranberry sauce usually is just 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water, and 1 bag, 12 ounces of cranberries. So you bring it all to a boil, and you kind of like mush it up a little bit, and that's all you gotta do. You can add different kinds of spices and orange rind and stuff to it. As you see, it's not too different than what I'm doing here. I'm just adding the onion and a few other spices to make it more of a savory taste. So that's all in. I'm going to raise the heat a little bit and let this come back to a boil. It is cranberry time. I know it looks like a lot of cranberries. Kind of is a little concerning to me, but because they're hollow, this should actually reduce down quite a lot once these start going. So I'm going to let these break down a little bit, which will probably take like, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes before moving on to the next step. And these might start popping everywhere, so yeah, be careful one doesn't pop and get you in the eye and blind you. And they're breaking down a little bit to help aid the process and help these infuse a little bit. I'm going to use a potato masher. So what I'm going to do is continuously monitor this and stir it with this thing here for maybe like 20-30 minutes. You want it to reduce down, but you also want it to like cook like hell. So it's going to take a while. And if it starts getting too thick, then add a little bit of water to it. Just a little splash at a time. So you want it to be the consistency of ketchup. Bam! Alright, it's been about a half an hour. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this bay leaf out. Although this does look like a delicious berry smoothie right now, I'm going to resist drinking it. Okay, so I'm going to blend this up with an immersion blender. I have a Bamix, which is like a high-end sort of one that works really well. So this one tends to be pretty fast. If you have like a cheaper one, like a $10 one or something, it'll work fine, but you might need to be doing it for like a while, and you also can't just like hold the button down the whole time, because then you'll break your hand blender, which is what happened to the past 3 ones that I've had and why I bought the fancy one. So remember to take breaks. Now this is the most annoying part, where I'm going to take this and pass it through a mesh strainer back into the pot. If you want to help make this process a little bit easier, what you can do is you can add water to the mix and then boil it off. It'll help it pass through the strainer a little faster. That looks like ketchup to me. Let me give this a quick try. That tastes pretty good. I think I want a little bit more sugar though. So I'm going to take a tablespoon of brown sugar, add that in. I'm going to like bring it to a boil and let it cook for like just a minute or two, just so that sugar can dissolve. If you want to do this for like long-term storage, where you can keep this out of the fridge and shelf stable, then yeah, look at a different recipe for ketchup and see what they do. I'm only making enough to be used in my fridge, and I'm planning on using it right away, so I don't need to do that. I don't know how to do it. I don't want that responsibility. Alright. Oh god, okay. So there it is. I'm going to put the cap on this, and this is going to go in the fridge until tomorrow. So I'm going to eat this with some Thanksgiving leftovers. I've got a Trader Joe's turkey-less fake meat log and some vegetables, but first I'm going to try it just on its own. The consistency of this is perfect. It's like really thick, like a nice rich ketchup. That's really good. Definitely a good idea that I added more sugar to that. I think I could even add even more and make it a little bit more like a cranberry sauce, make it nice and sweet. But like this, it's like, it tastes like the sweetness of regular ketchup, maybe a little bit sweeter. Every ketchup alternative that I've made using some stuff that's not tomatoes still tastes like ketchup. But this one has a very strong flavor to it that marries well with that ketchup taste. And that is cranberry. The cranberry taste is there. I think when I made Tamarillo ketchup and green tomato ketchup and banana ketchup, those get buried underneath like the overarching ketchup flavor. Those cranberries shine through. You can definitely get that berry taste in there. And I'm also picking up a little bit of the spices in there. It does have like a little hint of the cinnamon, a little hint of the orange. So I'm going to try this on some food to see if it does the job. And this is something I normally would not put ketchup on. I would put cranberry sauce on, but you know, here we kind of get the best of both worlds. So let's see how that goes. It works. Got a roasted potato here. Let's try that. I like this better than regular ketchup, and I like ketchup. I put ketchup on everything. And this is much better. It's got just such a unique taste to it. Like those berries do come out, but it's not like fruity in a way that it's like dessert-like. It's definitely savory. This is like putting like a chutney on meat or using a fruit in that sort of way. You're like highlighting something that is savory about that fruit. You know, I've made several different ketchups so far with a different fruit, and this one 100% is the best one that I've had. This has such a nice bold flavor to it that goes really well as a ketchup. So if you were to use this in place of cranberry sauce, it maybe isn't going to be exactly what you want, but if you're to use this as ketchup, it definitely gives some of what makes cranberry sauce so good to that ketchup. So if you've never tried making tomato ketchup before, I wouldn't recommend actually making tomato ketchup because it's very time consuming, and in the end it doesn't taste all that better than store-bought ketchup. But the fact that you get to control the ingredients that you put in it, that's where you get the reason to do it. So if you don't want to put corn syrup in your ketchup, you want to use sugar or honey or something like that, that is a reason to make your own ketchup. You get to kind of tweak with it, and in the end you're going to get something that will probably taste better and be more of like what you're interested in. I would say make your ketchup, tomatoes or otherwise, and throw stuff in there that sounds good. And you might get some really good results. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, guys, and I will see you next time. Hey, before you click out, I want to give a very special thank you to AltPod, Smarter Every Day, and the Harbor Leaf Tea Company. They are mega patrons over on Patreon.com. Patreon.com, if you haven't heard of it, it is how this channel happens. It's how I get all the funding to go on the trips I go on and how I get all the fruit that I try. So if you're interested in supporting my channel, check out the link in the description below. Another thing is that I have t-shirts for sale. Those are also available in the description below as well. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.